Hi, and welcome to another episode of Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist. I am your host, Dennis Richkovsky. Some of you recognize me as the co-owner of Flip Flops Donuts, and some of you recognize me as your broker of real estate, specializing in waterfront and water view properties along the Crystal Coast, especially on Bogue Banks and in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. In this episode, you will learn all about ocean surface water temperature, how it varies from location to location, how it's created, and how it impacts your enjoyment of the water, both as a bather and as an angler. We have a lot to get covered, so without further ado, let's get started. I hear it a lot at my donut store, and the comment goes something like this. This is my first time visiting Emerald Isle, and the water is so much warmer than it is at Hatteras or Duck. It is a joy and a pleasure to swim in this ocean. I'll be back. Let me put on my Mr. Wizard hat for a moment and tell you why this is so. When the air temperatures get really hot on the Outer Banks, the northern Outer Banks from Corolla to Ocracoke, it is almost a guarantee that the water temperatures along the beaches are going to be headed in the opposite direction. That's due to two important factors. First, there is the absence of the Gulf Stream, a strong ocean current that brings warm water from the Gulf of Mexico into the Atlantic Ocean. By the time the Gulf Stream has reached Ocracoke, it is turning right and headed to Great Britain. This allows the cold south-running Labrador current to have a much greater impact on water temperatures along the northern Outer Banks. Second, in summer, the persistent or prevailing winds on the northern Outer Banks come from the southwest. The northern Outer Banks, as you may remember, are oriented north-south. So these persistent southwest winds push the warm water near the surface of the Atlantic Ocean away from shore, allowing colder water along the bottom to move in. In contrast, let's look at how the Gulf Stream, the Labrador current, and these prevailing southwest winds impact the water surface temperature along the southern Outer Banks, specifically on Bogue Banks and in Emerald Isle. For starters, the Gulf Stream comes closer to Bogue Banks than any other landmass along the Atlantic seaboard. Second, Bogue Banks is oriented east-west, so the prevailing southwest winds push warm water near the surface of the Atlantic Ocean closer to shore. And this does not allow colder water along the bottom to move in. Third, there is no Labrador current introducing cold water. As a result of these factors, water temperatures on Bogue Banks are often 10 degrees warmer than those recorded on the beaches of the northern Outer Banks. This means you can go into the water earlier in spring and remain in the water later in fall. In essence, by choosing to live or vacation on the southern Outer Banks, you can extend your enjoyment of the ocean for at least 2 more months than you can expect to on the northern Outer Banks beaches. Now, ocean surface temperature also has an impact on fish and fishing along the North Carolina Outer Banks as well. Water temperature is an important factor in the environment of fish. It causes the activity levels of fish to increase or decrease, makes fish move into certain areas while avoiding others, and influences feeding and reproductive activity. Temperature data are of interest to those who wish to catch fish as well as study fish. Both fishers and researchers need to understand how temperature affects fish behavior. Fish are unable to regulate their body temperature, so they are influenced by the temperature around them. If the water is warm, fish metabolism accelerates, feeding and inspiration increases, and there is a general increase in movement. If the water is cooler, fish become lethargic and tend to be inactive. However, this is also true for other water creatures, such as insects that some fish eat, and certain fishes have adapted to this fact by specializing in slower kinds of prey. This is why bass and carp fishing is done in winter. These are fish specializing in slow-moving prey, and they are more active in cold water than in warm water. But in general, however, most types of fish prefer fast prey and are more active in warmer water. Temperature matters in fishing. Fish are tied directly to water temperatures. They do not consult calendars or show up alongside the beaches according to our vacation schedules. Their body temperatures rise or fall with the surrounding water. Fall and spring are peak seasons for fishing in North Carolina because many species, bluefish, red drum, and speckled trout, and bottom feeders such as mullet, croakers, and spot are migrating, seeking more comfortable temperatures all the time. Bluefish are a classic example of a seasonal migrant and a favorite of recreational anglers because of its fighting spirit, as well as, in my humble opinion, delicious red meat. Optimum water temperature for bluefish is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Anglers almost certainly will not find them in water above 84 degrees, nor below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Bluefish appear off the coast of Florida in late winter, and by March and April they are abundant off the coast of South Carolina, and then in May and June off the coast of North Carolina. New Englanders catch them in late summer. In winter, bluefish seemingly disappear, presumably headed offshore towards the Gulf Stream water. Because of great variations of water temperature, the variety of fish that frequent North Carolina's coast is impressive and somewhat unique. The cold south-moving Labrador current meets the Gulf Stream headed north in just two places, near Newfoundland at the Grand Banks and off North Carolina's Outer Banks, creating two of the richest fishing grounds on Earth. Nutrients, plankton, bait fish, and larger predatory species move along these two powerful ocean highways. In the end, the best vacationers understand the relationship between a great vacation and water temperature and plan accordingly. The best anglers intuitively understand the link between fish and water temperatures and cast accordingly. Both vacationers and anglers can achieve their best outcomes here on Bogue Banks and in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. So come on down and return next week to the same bat channel at the same bat time of 9 a.m. on Thursday for another episode of Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist.